Want a fresh start for your family full of creativity, joy, and growth? Welcome to episode 193 of the Fully In It podcast. No matter what this year or the past several years have looked like for you and your family, you can absolutely claim the beginning of your renaissance. What do I mean by renaissance? And how will this lead to such a beautiful season of fulfillment, deepening of your family culture, and connection? Well, you've got to listen to find out. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? The early 1400s in Italy were a breath of fresh air, ushering in new ideas, new exploration of the edges of the fine arts and architecture, and new philosophical and religious ideologies. The fine arts, such as painting and sculpture, gained more recognition and prominence. And after centuries of the arts languishing, pandemics, political upheaval, none of that sounds familiar, does it? Italy was about to lead Europe in a reclamation of innovation that we now call the Renaissance. This time period was the golden age for such artists as Michelangelo, Raphael, and Da Vinci, among others. And even today, we celebrate the legacy of their contributions. So, mini art history lecture aside, as you all know, this is what I taught for over a decade at the university. The concept of a renaissance is one I want to help you apply to your family. And yes, your family. When you think of the parallels in the way history repeats itself, it is not so much of a stretch to see how the last 5 years have been a bit of a dark ages. And while the world is a bit of a crazy place, still, I'm not holding my breath that it's going to change anytime soon, but we can create the change that we want to see within our homes. I fully believe that. So your home could be the Italy of your community, right? Like the lighthouse, the example for others of what a family renaissance could truly look like. And I just feel like we're ready for more hope. We're ready for more positivity. We're ready for more light in our homes and in the world, because the world has really felt like kind of a bit of a dark and chaotic place. And so we get to lead that change. When I started thinking on this as a concept, I was honestly thinking about my own family. We've reinvented ourselves many times over the last decade as we've pursued our own individual growth and envisioned a family legacy that we could be proud of. What if, though, how things have been for you in the past, they're not how they have to continue? What if you could also grant your family a clean slate? I hope that this gets you excited because you have the ability to create the change that you want to see. So the first major takeaway from the Italian Renaissance that you can apply to your family is the mastering of an art form. What would it look like for your family to master a skill or creative endeavor together? I know it's so common right now to have everybody in the family going different directions. You got one person doing soccer and one person is taking art lessons and then another one is working a lot and everybody is scattered. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? What if you all could come together and focus on one piece of creative growth as a family? What would that be for you? Maybe this is something you have not even thought about. Maybe it feels really out of reach, but I want to encourage you to just think on it, get a little bit curious and creative about what it could be for your family. And maybe you have a conversation as a family of what would feel really fun to learn together. So for our family, we bought a piano. Well, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It's like really like a fancy keyboard, like a nice one, and it works and it sounds really beautiful. And the reason we did this is because we all want to learn how to play the piano. Now, Kirk can he can play the piano a little bit. He's very self-taught. He taught himself how to play the guitar. He's just one of those kind of people. The rest of us need lessons. And everyone in our family also loves to sing and to harmonize. So our goal is to be able to play music together, especially since, Kirk could add in the guitar piece and my girls love to harmonize. And I'm not much of a singer, but I do enjoy music, and I can really see us, on holidays singing together and just what richness that would add to our family culture. So I want you to just think again, what could it be for your family? What would feel so invigorating for your family to pursue? The really cool thing about choosing one creative skill to master together is that this will become part of your family culture. It will strengthen you as a team and as a unit. And someday your kiddos will look back and they will be thankful for it. They'll be thankful for the way that your home became an island and a sanctuary from the craziness of the world out there, and how you fostered connection even when so much of the world feels disconnected. The second takeaway from the Renaissance is the adoption of new ideas. If you're honest with yourself, are you a bit stuck right now? Doing the same things every single day, getting stuck in the rut of the same ways of thinking, the same conversations as a family. You know, those ones where you're not even really listening or you're not really even enjoying it, but you're talking anyway, right? It can be so different. You've got to bust through this rut, and this will happen by saturating your family with new ideas. Now, for my family and I, we love doing this by watching documentaries, reading books, listening to podcasts together, and then discussing them on car rides and at the dinner table. Honestly, I look forward to these times in our day when we're either driving together or we're sitting around the table, because we have the best conversations, especially now that my kids are older. I've got the baby, and then I've got an 8-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 14-year-old. But you know what? We had these conversations when they were little, when they were like preschool age, and we just did it at their level. And I think that that's part of why we're now able to do it as they're older. So whatever age your kids are, you can start now. But to welcome in these new ideas, you're going to have to be collectively open to growing and bettering yourself, right? So open your mind to that. And I'm going to be sharing an episode in a few weeks on lifelong learning, where I'm going to go deeper into this concept and why it matters so much to the growth of your family. But for now, I want you to ask yourself, have you been resisting expanding your mind? Are you consuming the same types of information over and over again? Is your scroll looking exactly the same and it's a little bit mind-numbing, but you're not changing it? Maybe now is the time. Are you focusing on sound bites over deep and rich long-form content? Give your brain a chance to experience something more enriching. And keep in mind that you can learn as much from the classics, or maybe more, than from modern thinkers. Don't be afraid to read classic literature with your children, right? Cuddle up on the couch and enjoy it together and see what they have to say about it. You can study the ways history repeats itself and then ask your kids, what do they think about that? I think you'll be really surprised by their answers. Whenever we have a family discussion, we have each kiddo take a turn sharing their thoughts without interruption. We give them the floor and let them fully express themselves. And it's so cool to see how they can lead themselves in conversation. And it's just really good for them to learn that skill as well. And then Kirk and I wait to share our thoughts until they're finished so that we don't influence them or they don't say what they think that we want to hear. The final takeaway from the Renaissance is that nothing lasts forever. That's one thing we know about this world. Nothing lasts. The Renaissance eventually evolved into other art styles. There was political upheaval, religious discord, and in a nutshell, it just didn't last. So how do we translate this to the family? Well, you have a window of time with your children to pursue a rich family culture with your whole heart, to be fully in it with them and immersed in learning and growing together and making those memories. Lead by example. Let them see you growing yourself, pursuing knowledge, and pushing the edges of your own comfort zone. Share the journey with them. Invite them to grow alongside you. You will be so surprised by your kids if you just give them the opportunity. This is how you cultivate a fresh start for your family and welcome in your own renaissance, your own era of creative growth, fulfillment, joy, and deep connection. Be the example for other families. Lead the way. I hope that this episode served you and inspired you and gave you things to think about. Talk about it as a family. Maybe this is the first discussion you have is, what would it look like for us to create our own renaissance and give ourselves a clean slate? If you loved this episode, please leave me a review on Apple or Spotify or your favorite podcast player. It really means a lot to me, and it lets other people know that this podcast is worth their time. I've got an incredible lineup of episodes coming for you. So make sure that you check in weekly and you listen to these because there's some good stuff on the way. I will see you next week.